Vanakkam, namaste, and hello everyone. Welcome to the sixth episode of Inside the Minds of Great Yogis. In today's episode, we have a very special guest joining us. And to start off, she's a health and wellness professional who has been teaching yoga since 2012. As a life coach, she helps women heal from their past trauma and establish a self-designed narrative for their lives. As a yoga instructor and a digital fitness coach, her main focus through social media and business overall is to encourage and empower others to live their most authentic lives by creating their own narrative for their futures. Identifying as a change agent and an individual who believes in equality in all spaces, she now focuses energy on educating individuals and companies on the importance of diversity and inclusion in the yoga and fitness space. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to Christa Janine.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me, Christa. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Welcome to the sixth episode. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. So to start off, can you tell me about how did your journey of yoga start?
Yeah, so and I feel like my story is very like traditional Western yogi, like intro to yoga, but I was in college, my senior year of college, and Core Power Yoga was like right on campus, and they offered a free week. And I would always see people like coming in and out of the yoga studio, like drenched in sweat. And I was like, I got to figure out what these people are doing. So that's kind of how I was introduced to yoga, just like in an organized space. Like I had done yoga here and there, like throughout life, but never like going to a gym and doing it on a regular basis. So that's how I was introduced to it. But the more I got into it, the more I loved it, experiencing that like yogic high people talk about. And it was just like a great space for me to release, different than any other type of like workout I had ever done. And then I did teacher training, and the teacher training is really what helped me in yoga for so long, because I was understanding the philosophy. I was understanding the benefits of meditation. I was understanding the benefits of like really like diving into yourself and having that alone time and just living intentionally. And I appreciated it so much, and like what it gave me outside of yoga, outside of just like moving on my mat, but just what it gave me from a holistic standpoint in my life. Yeah.
Wow, I love how you're so passionate about yoga. I can see the entire passion when you're like explaining about how you got started with yoga. And I think that's fantastic. I'm so glad that you chose yoga, and I hope you continue to inspire many women. And I also forgot to mention the fact that your Instagram page is just wonderful. I love all the content you put there regarding yoga. I think it's amazing. So, keep doing that. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. And I love it. And I think it's so important for us to see different types of bodies in yoga, different type of experience with yoga. And I love it. I mean, I can do like, I love yoga. I love fitness, and I enjoy what I do. Sorry, my puppy wants to be involved. I enjoy what I do. So it's just nice to have a platform to share and to inspire other people to try yoga, because I feel like so often people don't even try it because they don't feel like it's for them.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Now, the next question I have for you is, in terms of the pandemic, a lot of people are like seeing positives with the pandemic and a lot of negatives. So in terms of this ongoing pandemic, what do you think is the importance of yoga?
Yeah, I think in regards to just the pandemic and yoga as in general is like, yoga helps you, if done properly, right? It helps you really focus on the positive things in your life. It helps you find spaces of gratitude. It helps you move your body and get rid of any tension or frustration or even trauma you have. And it's this is a time where we all need to be moving our bodies in whatever way we can. But I feel like yoga has a very specific, space in this because, like I said, it offers you the meditation, it offers you self-reflection, it offers you space to grow, and it helps you really heal from any trauma that you're experiencing right now, or even past trauma that you don't even know is like stored in your body in a real way.
Yeah. I love how you said that. You mentioned about self realization. I think, especially in the pandemic, many people are kind of trying to try different things, and so many people are being introduced to yoga, which is something amazing. So I'm really proud of that, and I hope many people, tend to start learning more about yoga, and yogis like you start, spreading the word, and with your amazing job. So.
Yeah, no, and I think it's like you said though, it's like the pandemic, and I, even when the pandemic first started, was in the mindset of like, you can look at this as a bad thing or you can look at it as a good thing. And I feel like so much good came from the pandemic, and it just exposed so much in the world that needed to be exposed, and it really made us all reevaluate a lot of things in our life that needed to be reevaluated. And I think there's so much good that came from the pandemic, and, outside of like us having to be completely secluded, but it just gave us space to really think about what matters and what doesn't. And it showed us the flaws in a lot of things that are happening in the world that we weren't talking about before. So I think there's a lot of positives that came with the pandemic. I just feel like people weren't interested in talking about them at first because everybody was like, oh, what do you miss? Or, oh, what do you hate about the pandemic? And I'm just well, if you keep asking people what they hate, that's all they're going to focus on.
A lot of important conversations and social and world issues that are taking place into the pandemic. And I think you talked about yoga in such concise and precise way. So that's amazing, Christa. Now, the next question I have for you is, what has been the most memorable moment you experienced as a yoga teacher? How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not even just one moment. Like, as an instructor, getting people to do things with their bodies that they never thought that they would be able to do is probably one of the most rewarding things. And it goes back to the reality of, like, especially with women, they're taught that they're not strong. They're taught that, men are stronger than them and they can only do like certain things and they don't have, the same capacity, or even like larger bodies. They're taught that, oh, you can only do this and you shouldn't even try that. And just really getting people to understand their own power and their own strength and how they do have the ability to do all of these things if they just try. But so often you don't try because society has told you that's not for you.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like many men are kind of like taking the upper hand. I think women can do much better than men in like any fields, honestly. And I think you also mentioned about the body as well. And I think all of us women are beautiful inside out, and that's what makes us unique. So yeah, I love how you mentioned that, and that's just wonderful, Christa. Now, the next question I have for you is, who are you before you started yoga, and how have you changed, transformed, and evolved?
Yeah, I mean, yoga has been a very transformative thing for me. And it's interesting because when I first started doing yoga, I would work out like in the morning and at night. Like, I was always at the yoga studio. But I think when you first get into yoga, the physical attachment to it is so profound because you like how you feel and you enjoy, moving your body in this way and like mastering these postures. But the more you grow in your yoga, the more you realize it's more so about what's happening off of your mat than what's happening on your mat. And I think for me, as I've evolved in my like true yogic experience of not just being a physical practitioner but actually trying to live in alignment with what I'm teaching people, it's just allowed my life to be so much easier, if I'm being honest. And like, even when bad things happen, it's really understanding like the cosmic order of things and understanding like all of this is actually happening for a reason, if you subscribe to that, which I do. And it allows you to navigate the world so much better. And I've just seen how I navigate in and out of situations so much better now because I have a mindset, because it's all about your mindset, really. I have a
100%,
mindset
yeah.
that goes into a space of like, okay, this is happening for a reason. And yeah, it's bad, but I know there's like something else that's on the other side of this that's better. And that in itself has really been because of my yogic journey and because of
Mhm.
me practicing yoga for so long, because I've been practicing
Yeah.
since 2010.
Mhm.
It really allows me to live a life a lot more freer. And even though I mean, I have anxiety and I do get stressed, like don't get me wrong, I am still a person, but it allows those phases to come and go a lot quicker than they used to. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. That's wonderful that you mentioned. I love the comprehensive example you gave and how you took me through that great example. So yeah, that's 100% true. Yoga has the power of changing our mindsets, and if we have the mindset to do it, it can definitely change us for the better. So yeah, that's awesome. And Krista, the next question I have for you is, why did you start teaching yoga, and what qualities do you feel are important to build and work as a yoga teacher?
I started teaching yoga just on a whim. I don't even think I wanted to teach yoga when I did teacher training. I just wanted to learn more about yoga.
Yeah,
Um, but I think for me, the biggest quality of a yoga instructor that's so important and profound is holding space for people and really understanding the space that you hold for people,
yeah,
and not being afraid to be vulnerable, right? And not being afraid
yeah.
to say, hey, I don't know how to do this, or hey, I can't do this in my body, but I can guide you through it. But then it
Mhm.
also requires you to understand the body. And I think
Right.
so often people just start teaching yoga because they're like, oh wow, I can do yoga really great, so I should be able to teach it. But
Yeah.
being able to do something and being able to look at somebody else's body and teach them how to do it too are two completely different skill sets. And I think in order to be a good instructor, you have to be able to look at somebody's body and understand from a skeletal standpoint and from a muscular standpoint what's happening in their body in order to
Mhm.
guide them in and out of poses safely and successfully. And I think so often people can't teach successfully because they only know how to do things a specific way in their body, as
Yeah.
opposed to understanding how the body actually works. So I think those would be
Yeah.
my like biggest things. Like you can't you can't teach somebody how to do something if you don't know how the
Yeah.
body works. Like you just can't.
100%. Yeah. And follow-up question I have for you is, so do you think as a yoga teacher, do you think flexibility is important? Because I see so many people asking that question, is flexibility important? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, it's very interesting because flexibility is important, but
Yeah,
it's important to like the longevity of your life, not
yeah,
necessarily to yoga. And I tell
right.
people this when they're like, I'm not flexible. Well, then you probably should be doing yoga, right? Because it's
Yeah.
going to help you gain that flexibility. Or so
Mhm.
often, especially I see this a lot of clients who are like men specifically who lift weights a
Yeah,
lot. So they're
right.
strong, but they have no mobility. And it's like,
Okay.
if you want to live a long life, you need to have mobility. And honestly, strength and flexibility are two things that are very important in yoga. And people don't talk
Mhm.
a lot about strength, they focus more on the
Yeah,
flexibility. But
yeah.
it's like, you need to be strong and flexible to do a lot of the postures, like the super
Mhm.
deep postures you see people doing,
Yeah,
and people don't connect the two. And it's like the stronger you are, honestly, the more flexible you can be because you have those counter muscles working at the same time. But at the same
mhm.
time, if you are looking to build strength, you do need more flexibility because it'll help you build strength.
Yeah.
So we all need flexibility because it helps with
Mhm.
mobility. But I
Yeah.
think the extreme flexibility that we see portrayed in yoga is
Mhm.
not a necessity for real life or for yoga. I think it's just
Yeah.
like cool to be able to contort your body in certain ways,
Mhm.
but it's not. I think flexibility is a necessity for life, and
Yeah.
longevity. So that's what I would say about flexibility. Like it's a very sticky conversation because of the
Yeah.
type of flexibility you see associated with yoga.
I like your point of view on that. I think you're 100% correct with how you explain the flexibility aspect of yoga. And I think you mentioned it so beautifully regarding flexibility. So one more question I have regarding, teaching yoga is that how are you enjoying teaching online? How has it been for you? Are you liking it, or is it something you don't prefer?
So I enjoyed it originally, before
Yeah.
like everything started opening back up because I was able to teach people all over, right? Like I was
Yeah.
able to teach people on the East Coast and like in the Midwest, and I'm on the West Coast. So it's like it was nice to be able to teach people from all over.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being able to reach more people because of the virtual space we all exist in.
Mhm.
Right now, it's a little more challenging because things are opening back up and not as many people
Yeah.
want to do virtual things. Or if they are doing virtual things, they're doing like Peloton and like Beachbody. So it's interesting to have a virtual studio, and like a lot of my stuff I've kind of dialed back on because I'm trying to figure out like what's the most economical, way to
Mhm.
go.
Yeah,
So, but I enjoy the virtual aspect because you can reach so many more people than you would
for
normally
sure.
reach just in like a regular, class setting at a brick and mortar.
Yeah, I think with the virtual world, you can connect with people from all around the world and, um, tell them to kind of join these yoga classes. So I think
Yeah.
100% that's amazing, Krista. And now I have some rapid fire questions for you, one of my favorite
Okay.
segments. So, to start off, who is your yoga inspiration or like a guru that you like look up to?
Well, somebody I follow, I don't know if I would call her a guru, but like I enjoy her practice. Is Hippie
Yeah.
Heathen on Instagram. I like
Okay.
love her practice. I love the way that she moves her body. I love the things that she does. I love what she stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just has a very beautiful, beautiful practice that I
Mhm.
enjoy experiencing. And then Mel Douglas yoga. Me and Mel have actually known each other for a few years, give or take, like through the
Okay.
virtual space, but we recently
Yeah.
met. And her practice too, like she's just so fluid and like open with it. And just really able to like share her practice and the body that she's in and not feel like, confined to what society has told her that she should look like to do yoga. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are just a couple, but yeah.
That's wonderful. That's amazing, Krista. So the next question I have for you is, do you have any book recommendations for yoga reading?
Yeah, it's there's this one book by Darren Main called Yoga and the Urban Mystic,
Mhm.
and it's about how to navigate the Western world and live in a yogic mindset. It's a very, very
Okay.
good book.
Okay, I'll look into that book for sure. And the final question I have for you is, if you had to share one word about your students, what would you say?
Um, Powerful, I guess is the one word.
Powerful.
Yeah, powerful.
All right. And that is our questions for this podcast. Krista, thank you so much for joining me on the sixth episode of Inside the Minds of Great Yogis. I really appreciate you giving me your valuable time, and I hope I can speak with you again. I absolutely enjoyed this conversation with you. You are an inspiration to many women, and something I learned from this conversation with you I had was that, love yourself, love the body that you're in, and you're all beautiful inside out. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. And I also want to thank everyone who is yet to listen to our sixth episode of Inside the Minds of Great Yogis. And until next time, have a good rest of your day, everyone. And thank you once again, Krista.
Thank you.
Thank you.